All right, this is a really interesting one. This is an interesting one. There's been a bit of a, do I want to call it a back and forth? Not really, but an exchange of words with Canelo Alvarez and Turki Alalshikh. I'm going to quote Canelo here directly. He says, "I'm not asking for that fight." This is on Turki Alalshikh saying he's no longer interested in making the Crawford fight. Canelo says, "I'm not asking for that fight. I think Teofimo Lopez deserves it more than me." Lopez is at 140. Crawford's at 154. I don't know how Lopez deserves it more. Boots Ennis, yeah, I'd agree with you there if you said that. But Lopez, okay, random one. My response to Turkey is this. Yesterday they texted me to talk about the Crawford fight in February, and I said, I'm not going to talk about any other fight. I'm 100% focused on Edgar Berlanga fight. I respect Turkey, but if he wants to work with me, it needs to be my way. Oh, that's going to be problematic, I would imagine, because I'm just going to, before I go on to what Turki Alalshikh said, Turkey seems to be the sort of guy where he can build bridges. Last year, 2023, if he had said to me in January that by the end of the year we would see Eddie Hearn and Frank Warren at a table together, and that within roughly 6 months we would see a Matchroom versus Queensbury 5v5 show, I'd laugh at you. I would genuinely laugh at you. If you had said to me that the card we had on Saturday night was feasible in 2024, a year or so ago, I would have laughed at you, because I would have said, you're talking about PBC, Golden Boy, Top Rank, Matchroom, all on the same show. They're not all against one another necessarily, but you're talking about all the same fighters. That just won't happen. You just can't do that. And along comes Turki Alalshikh, and he's able to do it. And a lot of these fighters, the Joshuas, the Usyks, the Furies, he is the guy who can get stuff done. That's Turki Alalshikh. He can get stuff done. And I think that they're happy because they're dealing with him. He's taking the reins, so to speak, and he's steering the ship. With Alvarez has been used to, certainly for the last couple of years now, kind of letting himself go to the highest bidder. Some fights he's fought with Matchroom. His Matchroom deal is done. Who is the highest bidder? Matchroom put a bid in, PBC put a bid, that sort of way. So Canelo is used to being in charge. And I think that that's where you're going to have some problems. Now, I'm going to quote what Turki Alalshikh tweeted out here on X. He says, and I quote, "I heard what Canelo said, that he respects me but doesn't like the way I do business. As for respecting me, it doesn't matter to me if he does or not. As for the way I do business, I know why he doesn't like it. Because I only target big fights at fair prices. So of course, anyone who likes easy fights won't like that." Interesting. "And I know how he feels after losing to Bivol, so he's been looking for easier fights ever since. Also, I'm not the one who's afraid of fighting Benavidez or Crawford. The Benavidez one I'll certainly agree with. I don't know about the Crawford one, but the Benavidez one, I wouldn't say afraid. I just don't think he wants that fight. I just don't think he wants the risk. You could argue that probably is afraid. Therefore, I know he was wasting our time and making excuses with big amounts of money that can't be paid. So I'm continuing my way to make big fights that serves the boxing world, and he's on his way to making easy show-only fights." Wow. Pulling no strings there. Yeah, so Turki Alalshikh, I'll go back to what he said here. He says, "As for the way I do business, I know why he doesn't like it, because I only target big fights at fair prices. So of course, anyone who likes easy fights won't like that. And I know how he feels after losing to Bivol, so he's been looking for easier fights ever since." So Turki Alalshikh is talking about making the biggest fights. He's made Fury versus Usyk. He's made, listen, Joshua versus Ngannou was not a competitive fight on paper, nor too was Fury versus Ngannou on paper. That one turned out to be competitive. Joshua Ngannou went the way we kind of, it was always going to end like that. Some of us maybe gave Ngannou a bit too much credit and thought the fight might go some rounds, but ultimately Joshua did what he needed to do. So that's an example, the Ngannou situation, where it is more of a gimmicky kind of fight than it is a competitive fight. But Wilder Zhang, Beterbiev Bivol, Usyk Fury 2 when it happens in December. Joshua Dubois is a good fight. That's not a gimme fight for either guy. People say, oh, it's an easy fight for Joshua. I'd be picking Joshua. I wouldn't go that far. With Turki Alalshikh, if he gets a fight into his head and that's what he wants to do, if that's the road he wants to go down, and even if you lose, he's still willing to work with you. Zhilei Zhang lost to Joseph Parker. He was straight into a fight with Deontay Wilder. Deontay Wilder lost to Joseph Parker. He's straight into a fight with Zhilei Zhang. So it doesn't matter if you give a good account of yourself, although Wilder, in truth, really didn't in both those fights. But you get what I mean. The fact of the matter is, if you're willing to work with them, they're willing to work with you. With Alvarez, it seems like he wants to be the main guy. He wants to be in control. Because, again, you look at a Canelo undercard, and you compare... Canelo is the biggest star in boxing. I mean, I've no doubt about that. He is a bigger star than Joshua worldwide. He is a bigger star than Fury and Usyk, again, worldwide. But you look at his undercards compared to the Saudi cards, they've been, this one he has coming up, it's alright. Danny Garcia Lara is a strange fight, but there, Caliplant is on the undercard, but there's nothing that you'd look at and think, look at this undercard. You're just kind of like, alright. Joshua Ngannou was a decent undercard. The Day of Reckoning was that will always stick very close in my heart. That was a brilliant card. Fury versus Usyk, that undercard was lit. That was electric. So again, what Turki Alalshikh is doing there, he's talking about fair prices. Now, these guys are getting well paid. Mate, it's not like he's shortchanging these fighters. Fury, Usyk, very happy. Anthony Joshua, very happy. They're all very happy to get on these Saudis. Just they are being well paid. It is a business for Turki Alalshikh and the Saudis. It's not just the case of, make it rain every day and that's it. No, obviously he's trying to recoup things. And he's not a stupid man. Certainly not a stupid man as Turki Alalshikh. He knows himself that Canelo, if he's looking to do easy fights, on paper they might be, competitive. Berlanga versus Canelo was Canelo going in there against the big punching Puerto Rican who's undefeated. But we know Berlanga is no great shakes. And he's talking about the Bivol loss. Canelo went from, leave the Yildirim fight. That was a mandatory, to be fair, but we'll leave the Yildirim fight out of the way. He fought Callum Smith. Actually, he fought Danny Jacobs, Sergey Kovalev, Callum Smith, Yildirim. Who did he fight then? Billy Joe Saunders, Caleb Plant, and Dimitri Bivol. Seriously. Am I missing something? No, he fought Rocky Fielding before he fought Danny Jacobs. But that's a hell of a run. Hell of a run. He loses to Dimitri Bivol. He has the trilogy fight with Triple G. I won't criticise him too much for that because I think that was contractually obliged beforehand. So there's probably no way you could really get out of that. So okay, I'll let you away with that. And then it's been, John Ryder, Charlo, Munguia. It was a decent scrap. Berlanga. It's not got that, you kind of get the impression... And it's something I think Hatman said, that maybe it's not that Canelo's on the slide. Maybe he's just fighting these guys that he knows he's going to beat and he's not up for it as much. Maybe if the gun was put to his head and he had to rematch Bivol or he had to fight Benavidez, you'd probably see the Canelo of old, or certainly closer to it, because he has the bit between his teeth, he really has to. And, you definitely notice it since he lost to Bivol. He doesn't want to take a loss again. I mean, it's not really affected him that much. People don't really mention it. It's there, but it's kind of like Bivol's not been able to really push on from it, to be fair. So it's kind of there, but it's just kind of, it's that loss and then, okay, move on. But he's definitely been taking the easier end of it. I mean, at the end of the day, going into this fight in September, the three options were Jamal Charlo, don't want to see that. Chris Eubank Jr., don't really want to see that. Berlanga, again, don't want to see that. Why can't we have Benavidez and Morel? Or why can't we have Pacheco? Why isn't he being named? I know I'd probably pick Canelo over him. Yeah, I would. But still, he's youthful. There's something there. There's a lot more talent there. And I think he's Puerto Rican as well. I think he is anyway. And he's the better of the two. He's much better than Berlanga, in my opinion. So I agree with what Turki Alalshikh is saying there. Maybe Canelo is just so used to being, the guy in charge. And it would be interesting. Could you imagine someone like a Floyd Mayweather around today when Turki Alalshikh is pulling these kind of strings and he's making the big fights? And again, it's a business. He's trying to recoup the money, recoup some of it. He's paying out millions and millions. He wants to recoup. He's not just going to put on a fight for the sake of it and be like, all right, how much did we pay these fighters? Millions and millions. How much did we make? Yeah. He's not going to be like that. He's obviously going to want to try and recoup something at the start. At the start of any business, you tend to lose. You do. You tend to lose at the start of any business. But after a while, you do want to start seeing the profit go up. That's just the way. The Zone, I don't know what the way they are now with profits and stuff like that, but listen, at the start, were they making a profit when they came into the boxing market, certainly in the UK? Oh, no. I wouldn't imagine they were. With Sky back in the day, when Netflix? No. But eventually, the margins change and the money comes up. The profits come up, I should say. It's how it's going to be for Saudi boxing. And Turki Alalshikh, as he said, he's not in the business of making easy fights. There you go. So he ain't pulling no punches when it comes to Canelo. So is it going to be a case of now the Saudis have their shows and Canelo was just on his own? Would that alienate him from other promoters? Because if you think about it, Eddie Hearn is working with the Saudis. Would he be willing to bid for Canelo if he's thinking, well, Turkey, I can get these guys on these Saudi shows. Canelo is just going to be kind of the standalone kind of guy. I can promote him, but, the action is in Saudi. He's planning 2025 fights, so it's all going on there. And Turki Alalshikh is the man who can make it happen. Canelo Alvarez, pride come up before a fall at the end of the day. It's an old saying. Pride come up before a fall. Let's wait and see what happens against Berlanga. Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below on Canelo and Turki Alalshikh. Be interested to hear your thoughts. Let me know. Peace.